He says.
Real talk for a second.
Uh-oh. Should I not record?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It's more of it's kind of a dumb thing too.
Okay, fair enough.
Our benefits enrollment it comes due tomorrow, and I still have to sign up for stuff.
Yeah.
What insurance did you go with?
The top tier one?
The top tier one?
Yeah. Is there a way I can pull it up here? I don't know how this new workday thing works, so.
I don't know either. I only asked because, so I obviously meant to sign up for it this past weekend because that would give me a week to change my mind if I had to. But they offer that new insurance that sounded like too good to be true, kind of, because it's that bind insurance. And basically it's no deductible. What you see is what you pay. And I went and researched it, and it seems like it is that, but there are certain things that it excludes, certain procedures that it excludes that you'd have to like buy extra insurance for. Anyway, my plan that I have right now is that high deductible plan.
Yeah, I think that's the one I have.
That's the one you have?
I think so.
Because that's not one of the best ones. I was thinking about, all I was asking is I was thinking about upgrading to a big boy plan, with the lower deductible.
I can't remember which one I have.
You had.
All I remember is when I did it, and I should check it before tomorrow just to make sure nothing's changed. I don't think they ever reduce anything, but
no, the prices always seem to go up year over year, and it's like only a couple bucks. Like I know my because like I said, I have the high deductible plan, so that means I have an HSA. Do you have an HSA?
Yes.
Do you pay into an HSA?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you do have the plan that I have right now, which is the high deductible plan.
Yeah. Wait.
Because if I upgraded, I'd pretty much eliminate that HSA because my deductible would go from $1,750 to $750.
I need to look now because I don't know if I have an HSA anymore. They give you a card, right?
Yeah. It's through Optimum Bank.
That's what we used to use with Microsoft. I don't think I ever got a new one. I should probably look at that.
Yeah, because you have to, if you have the high deductible and an HSA, if I don't do anything, everything rolls over except for my HSA, which means that I no longer pay into it anymore, which I only pay $10 into it a month anyway. So I would still keep my insurance and everything.
You just don't get the HSA? I just
wouldn't be paying into my HSA. Anyway, that's all I questioned because I know you're more of an adult sometimes than me. So I was just wondering what adult insurance you had.
Yeah, I know when I did it, I went for I want to say I bought the best of everything because I'm older and I don't want to worry about anything.
Right, and I'm 39 years old, and I'm like, maybe I should get actual, big boy insurance instead of this, because it does save you a little bit more money.
Yeah.
If you have issues.
Yeah. I don't remember if it had an HSA or not now. Because I know I have my old HSA card in my wallet from my Microsoft insurance. Because you know me, I don't throw shit away.
Right.
I'll have to look at that today before tomorrow, obviously, because that shit goes away.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll have to make a snap decision sometime today, too, then.
You will, because tomorrow's the last day, or is it closes tomorrow?
I think it's one of those things where it's open from from whatever to the 11th. So I think the 11th is the last day, but I obviously don't want to gamble on that. I think I've done that before where I accidentally forgot, and like I said, it's no big deal because I would just keep everything. Everything would roll over with the exception of my HSA pay into. That would go to zero.
Gotcha.
All right. That's it for adult talk.
Now on to the fun.
Right. I did have, I thought I saved a story. Like, there really wasn't anything I cared about this week. There was just one off the wall thing that I thought I saw.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't what I was thinking it was, but there was an interesting thing with the new Netflix ad. Now I don't remember what it was. So obviously they added that new tier. I think it's $10 a month. Where, oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So with Netflix, they obviously added the new tier where it's actually ad supported. It's 10 or 9.99 a month.
Yep.
And it's ad supported. What I didn't realize is that it's, oh no, it's sorry, $6.99 a month. $6.99 a month with ads.
Yeah.
Did you know that there are certain things you can't watch
Yes.
with it? That's bullshit.
Yeah. Because they it's a contract through how they got it on the platform.
And I guess that makes sense, but it's like there's some legit stuff listed here that
Sorry.
that people would probably that would want. Arrested Development, Friday Night Lights, Good Girls, The Good Place, The Last Kingdom, The Magicians, Peaky Blinders, Queen of the South, The Sinner, The Intimidation Game, and Skyfall are just a handful of stuff that you can't watch because you have ads.
Yeah, it's and there was a it wasn't a studio, it's a couple studios that have stuff that won't let it be part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's, if I recall right, it's been a while since I read this article. That's basically what it boiled down to, is that there is just certain studios that that's what they just didn't want to be included in it.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's bullshit. New Girl, I think, is on here as well. House of Cards, like, a lot of this stuff sounds like, well, isn't that Netflix owned? But you're right. It's like, it's technically Netflix owned for streaming. It's not something that they were original content, right?
House of Cards is not listed?
Yeah, Netflix ad tier will not let users watch a handful of major popular titles, including originals like House of Cards or the acquired programming like New Girl. This comes from The Wrap.
I didn't know House of Cards is one of them. I wonder if that's a production issue. Because it might have been an original, but it wasn't. If it's produced by somebody else.
And that's what I mean. I think that's what it is.
Wild. I didn't think. Well, I mean, I didn't think about it. I just assumed it would be all their stuff, but that does make sense because House of Cards is one of the very first like Netflix originals, but a lot of those were produced by other companies in association with. It's interesting.
Fucking bullshit, right?
Also, I saw an article. I don't remember how long ago it was, like a week or so or whatever. But I guess their very first original series, Lilyhammer, is being removed.
Okay.
Which I thought was weird because like it's one of theirs. Like it's their, like it's one of their originals.
Like their property, not like just they bought up the rights to it. Property.
Yeah, I was like, what? What be happening here?
I don't know, man.
It's very bizarre.
But to roll it out, or to finish it out, apparently each ad is 15 to 30 seconds long and is playing before and during the programs.
Ew,
something that I didn't know either.
It's during it?
That's what it says here. Each ad is 15 to 30 seconds in length, playing before and during programs. So it's basically like watching TV.
Yeah, but you're also paying for it.
I mean, you're paying for TV sometimes too. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying, but you're also paying for it like you are for TV, unless you're using antenna and then,
yeah.
You know.
The next article I have, which is kind of just an off-the-wall one, I didn't know that there was such a thing as real temporary tattoos. Apparently, there's a company. What was it called? I can find it in a second here. But yeah, apparently there's a company that is marketing tattoos that you actually get with ink and needle, but the ink is only supposed to last, quote unquote, a year before it fades away to nothing. But the article was mostly about how it's not actually lasting just a year. In fact, a lot of people that have been getting these tattoos, like a year and a half later, are still clearly visible. And they're not quite happy with it. Because the company was initially marketing it as gone within a year, and now their marketing is like, well, gone in about a year. Ephemeral.
Why would
Ephemeral.
you go through all that? Like, that's just dumb.
What?
That's stupid to me for multiple reasons. So you go through all the pain to get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For it to go away, air quotes, go away.
Yep.
But technically, there's still scar tissue.
Yeah, I don't know. Like all the pictures, they don't really show anything that has fully gone away. They have pictures in here of a lady who like got a rose tattoo on her right shoulder, rather large tattoo, and I believe the second image is like 15 months later, and it just looks like a very old tattoo, but it's very still clearly there. And I didn't understand like their point here was that there are people out there that would like to get tattoos but don't like the permanency of it. So that's what they're aiming for. And apparently is a fairly popular thing. The company's original studios in New York. I guess this new one is in San Francisco. Costs about $400 for somebody to get a Celtic symbol tattooed on their forearm. The article doesn't say like, do they charge per hour per how big the tattoo is and whatnot. That was just the only price that they really gave on here. But yeah, like it's just aimed at people who like the idea of tattoos but don't want anything permanent. But I agree. I don't understand because it is something that you should be really thinking about if you're getting a tattoo. Like that's one reason why I've never gotten a tattoo, because I have yet to think of anything that I would really want to put on my body and keep there. You, as obviously a person who has many tattoos and has co-owned a tattoo shop, can understand that like going through some of this stuff is very painful, and like it's weird that I guess that this is a thing to me.
Yeah. Ew, I would say. So all of that?
Ew is all you have to say?
I get it, like there's like this weird like pleasure in the pain type thing, right? So I do know people who like will get cover-ups to re-tattoo over. They'll even do a blackout to tattoo over that. Because eventually you will run out of space, and because some people are just terrified of getting stuff put some places, which I understand because there's some parts of the body that are just horrifically painful to do. But to want, like, it must be, I'd have to look at it to see what it is, but I wonder if it doesn't go as deep in the epidermis as a real tattoo does, and whatever the ink is a solvent that dissolves naturally into the skin. Well, clearly not that naturally, because as you pointed out from this article, they're not really going away. They're just kind of like blurring.
Yeah.
Because the idea behind the tattoo science is the pigment is thicker than the plasma and the fluids in our skin that is released naturally. So it binds and stays where it's at. Not perfectly. It does push out as you're doing the process, and as it heals, it can definitely leave. But you don't go deep enough where it will be absorbed into the body, and you don't go shallow enough where a scrape will scrape it away. So this would have to be it would have to be above that layer. So eventually it will either just
fade away as your skin sloughs off slowly as you age.
Yeah. Because parts of your skin, like parts of your body, the skin will shed faster. It's anything that's that the sun gets to more often. So if you're a sunbather, tattoos don't really look that great on you. If you're a tanning beds don't do the same because it's a different type of UV. Because it's just the way that works. But yeah, that's weird, and I don't like it. Um, like I understand you want to get a tattoo, but you don't want something permanent, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
that's the idea of getting a tattoo. Like that's why you do it. You're permanently marking your skin with something that should mean something to you. I know quite a few
Right.
people who got stuff that don't mean anything to them, and now they regret it. And it's like, well, yeah,
Right.
don't do that. There's a reason they tell you it's permanent. And old people used to say, well, that's on your body forever. But
Same old people who have tattoos.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. I think that's those people are shitty, and I'm glad their temporary tattoos aren't going away.
I do want to make one correction here. It does actually mention a price range to this as ranging from $195 to $550 depending on size. And at least according to the article, that's about the same price as a decent actual tattoo. So it's like you're not even saving money either by getting a temporary tattoo.
Yeah, you get to pay it again if you want something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the final article I have here, was it anything worth talking about? Oh, just a quick one, which was weird to me. That and what's funny too is the next day after I read this article, another one popped up about a similar thing. Apparently, AMC is going to open up their auditoriums to be giant Zoom rooms. Now, when I first read that article, according to PC Mag, I was like, "What the fuck is a Zoom room? Is this like some sort of game thing?" Blah blah blah. No, it's literally Zoom, the uh, the uh, video
What?
conferencing program,
Wait, what?
which makes no sense to me. Why are you turning giant theaters into Zoom auditoriums, essentially?
Yeah, why are you doing that?
Because it seems like it would defeat the purpose of doing it. It says here that each booking will secure a 3 hour block of time in a theater for the Zoom call with a capacity for between 75 to 150 people, depending on which theater location it is. And although we don't know which theaters will double as Zoom rooms yet, AMC hints at certainly located venues in cities and points to launch in 2023 in 17 major U.S. markets. And if I recall right, it didn't really give a pricing of what they would be either. No, I don't see it. But that doesn't make sense to me. Like, the point of Zoom is so that everybody can have their own laptop and be their own thing. But for some reason here, like, what, are you going to set up one webcam right above the screen and like try and capture all 75 to 150 people in there at once? But it also seems like you already have 75 to 150 people in the auditorium. It seems like it's going to be unruly. And then what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. Or maybe this is a way, like, would this be a way to like have CEOs address people?
Like,
But it just still doesn't make sense to me.
it wasn't the whole thing about Zoom and not that anyone uses Skype calls anymore, but like Teams calls. Isn't that so you can remotely, like, anyone can join it from anywhere that has internet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then like it's also like, because you don't have to worry about everyone trying to get in one place at a time, especially if you're like 75 people. You don't try to put everyone in one big
Right.
room or one conference thing just for time's sake, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I would understand it if you wanted to do like hey, we have a large company, we have like say 3,500 employees, right? There's no way we can really get that done without like having a giant conference room or whatever. So we rent out a couple theaters and just cram people in there and play a presentation or something, and then have like a microphone set up if someone wants to ask a question. But
Mm-hmm.
like that, having a Zoom call that way doesn't make any sense.
No, you basically turn it into a Comic Con, panel.
Yeah.
If you do that, yeah, I'm going to have a microphone set up so that, yeah, we can just line up and ask questions and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
To add on to that, though, the next day, an article came up that Tesla is teaming up with Zoom to be able to do Zoom in your Tesla, it looks like.
What?
Yep. So this one coming towards from Gizmodo, which actually also has the AMC stuff in it as well. At least here it says that Tesla drivers will be able to take advantage of Zoom to make video calls from their EV, as well as sync Zoom meetings to their in-car calendar for easy access and organization. Zoom shared a video of the feature at Zoomtopia, which shows a driver using Zoom while charging a Tesla Model Y. Why do we need this?
Yeah. So we can't get CarPlay or Android Auto, but we can get Zoom calls?
Yeah.
I think they're going the wrong way with this.
Right? Like, who's sitting there at a Tesla charging station? It's just like, yeah, I need to hop on that Zoom meeting right now and just sit in their Tesla while it's charging. Like, you would think that, no, I'm going to block off this shit and I'm going to... it doesn't even make sense of like, oh, I need to call somebody in order to just talk with them like you and I right now. You have an iPhone, you have an Android phone that you can just use Android, video calling or video with your iPhone as well. To me, it doesn't make sense to like hop in and on Zoom to try and call somebody as well in your car.
Yeah.
It's fine that they're trying to innovate stuff, but this is just weird stuff that to me, I don't see a use for it. Maybe somebody does, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, and I don't like it, so not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's my rule. That's what I'm talking about. I did have something that I didn't save at all. So I don't know where it's actually at now. So that's good for me.
You remember what it
was? It was talking about James Gunn in like the future of the DCU, as it's called now, or being referred to now. I don't know, it's officially called that, and I don't know where it went. I could have swore I read it on Apple News, but I don't find it here.
James Gunn.
That's 2 N's. Anyways, basically what it essentially what it was he woke up one morning and this was obviously after the news of him taking kind of co-control of the DCU, and him basically replying to a general reply to anybody who's mentioned him in a comments on different places, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things like that, because he's very in tune to social media. He's as he stated before, it is him that runs those accounts. That's not anybody else. That was part of the thing with his former tweets that got him sort of in trouble and originally fired from the House of the Mouse. He took ownership to those tweets and later was reinstated after a very powerful apology on his half. Anyhow, so this was an open comment reply in a way to all the people asking him for different things. He didn't confirm anything. He didn't deny anything. He didn't give any certainties or anything like that. He basically just said that him and his cohort, they read all these comments. They're aware of them. They know that people are clamoring for different things. They want the return of certain characters played by certain actors. He knows they want creators back. He is well aware that people are reaching out, and he actually in the tweets mentioned the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, Obviously, the David Ayer version of it. Did he confirm that it exists? No, he was just saying that he sees the hashtag, out there. He recognizes that people are passionate about it, and that him and his partner are well aware of the demand. And he just basically said that they are going forward to create the big. And this is because I can't find the article. This is kind of a paraphrasing of it. They're looking to make the biggest and best faceted multiverse story ever told across all platforms, which boils down to the fact that they are going to unite animated, live action movies and TV shows, all under one story arc. Will there be other stuff from DC? Yes, I'm sure there is. But what he's saying is they are looking at making one very large, lengthy run of continuous story. So one continuity happening amongst multiple properties across the different platforms they offer. He's not saying they're getting rid of certain things or things going away because of it, but anything that's going to fall under their version of the DCU is all going to be interconnected. So we could potentially see, much like how Marvel and even Star Wars, they're integrating characters that are now canon from other media into other cross media. So from animated to live action from live action to animated, from potentially video games over to whatever. You could see, and he brought up the point of the Batman, and he says that the Batman is a good example because he's not confirming that Batman, the Batman, is part of the DCU. It's its own. It might be its own thing. He doesn't specify, but he says that what they're doing with that, with the TV shows tying into the movies that are coming out, that's kind of what he's looking at doing with everything.
That's good.
So we don't know if they're starting fresh. We don't know if they're bringing people back. But when he used the term multiverse, that makes me think he could be pulling people back. Like having Henry Cavill's Superman appear, spoiler, in Black Adam. Mm-hmm. And apparently Black Adam making some kind of appearance in the new Shazam movie. It's right now, I read an article, it's potential spoiler because nobody knows yet because the movie's not out yet. But apparently Dwayne voices something that's in. So like Black Adam's voice is probably utilized in the movie somehow. But he's basically saying that because of multiverse, just like Marvel's doing, and DC's always had a multiverse in the comic books, so it's not like they're stealing from it. They're going to utilize that to be able to have those other ones, and DC's already ventured into it with the Flash movie, which who knows if that's ever going to actually come out or not. Because they have multiple Flashes and multiple Batmans in that property that are played by different people from different movies. So we know Michael Keaton, as far as we know, still in it. Ben Affleck's Batman is in it. And then multiple versions of Ezra Miller's Flash is in it, because from the teaser trailer we see him in different forms. So there's other Flashes in there. And so we know that the multiverse is definitely a playground they're playing in, and the way his statements is saying that he's up for, and again, this is hyperbole and just kind of extrapolating from what he's saying from multiple sources as well as my own brain. He's basically saying that all the characters that we've seen are technically on the board to reprise and be in this bigger DCU because of a multiverse capability.
Yeah. Okay.
So we could potentially see, without any like weirdness, you could see Henry Cavill's Superman come up against or meet at one point Robert Pattinson's Batman, for example. Because the multiverse means that every version of the Earth that's out there or potential Earths, Superman can exist and he could be the same person because all the same things could happen, but Batman would be a different person. But not that Superman would know that. His Batman's always been Battinson, right? But then a Henry Cavill played Superman would also know Batfleck's Batman as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that Batman is the same entity as the other one, right? It doesn't mean that Batfleck's Batman is the future version of Battinson's Batman.
Right.
It would just means that multiverse, that's where Batman comes in. That's the lineage, right? Like we explained this with Spider-Man and how Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and spacing on his name right now, Tom Holland, they're all Peter Parker and they're all Spider-Man. But at some point in their lives, yes, one's older than the other ones, right? But somewhere in their lives, in their version, their parents got together earlier. They're different, technically, parents. There could be a different mom, like generational, like change somehow, so they would look different. They wouldn't be the same person. You know what I mean? That's how multiverses work, because one choice can change how things go. But in the larger scheme of things, it all boiled down to the same thing. Like a Peter Parker was born, and then Peter Parker, through his experiences, shared experiences, similar experiences, became Spider-Man. Same idea, just in the DC. You know what I mean? So that's a cool thing. I thought it was awesome that James Gunn comes out to it and says that. And he's been speaking a lot of things lately. Even like Lobo. He wants to have Lobo show up in a movie somehow, or property somehow outside of the comic books and things like that. So a lot of cool potential things coming up in our near future in the DCU. That's something to get excited about for the most part. For the first time. And again, we talked about this before, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when this was announced. This isn't saying that the DCU is saved and it's going to be as profitable and as prolific as the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. It has potential because it has new people in charge, and they seem to be the all-encompassing Kevin Feige type role where he is the linchpin. Because Kevin Feige still has to answer to the head of Disney, like, right? There's like the execs and stuff. He doesn't just get to make these willy-nilly calls and decisions all on his own. He still has to get approval. The difference is has a proven track record. So at this point, they're probably just like have a nodding head. Yes, just like a blank check until he has a huge issue where something flops.
Like multiple flops.
Yeah, like it has to be a huge like failure. Like, oh, we're not making money on these, right? Like, if Eternals 2 were to come out on a normal basis, right? I would almost guarantee it would underperform the first one. Right? Unless it was that much better, and then the word of mouth would help it boom. But if it was worse, that would be like, oh shit, like we're not going the right way with this, right? But then there would have to be all these other failures around there. Yeah. So all I'm saying is with this is it's awesome to see. Potentially this is the boom that DC needed, and if James Gunn is as smart as I think he is, I think he's going to take it in a direction where he's going to slow roll it. He's not going to jump in feet first and start doing crazy ass shit with let's just go ahead and revamp the Justice League and throw them in one big movie right away. No, I think he's going to be like, "Hey, let's build these characters up to maybe meet in a penultimate, meetup like they did in Avengers, right? You had those base 3 or 4 with Hulk, but that kind of fell apart, but we all know why. But we had those base 3 movies. We had the Iron Mans, the Captain Americas, and the Thors, and they had multiple entries before, the first Avengers movie came about, and so you had all this coming together. You didn't have, a Superman movie and then a team up movie right away, because we all know Batman v Superman was essentially a miniature Justice League movie. Because once you added in Wonder Woman, which, don't get me wrong, was awesome the way they did it, I love that for it, but it would have been nice to see Wonder Woman debut ahead of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially with the fact that the Wonder Woman movie was actually really good.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like how much stronger that that would have felt with us having known more about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then the fact that like all they were using Batman v Superman for was to just give us the Justice League versus just letting us have those movies individually so we get to know those characters and then come together and love them as a group, just like the Avengers did. You know, slow roll it instead of just, oh, Avengers did really well, let's just fucking do it. No, man, like you don't need to. You know, I'm not telling you how to do your fucking job, but like obviously there's a reason it worked for them. Right? So what is that reason? And I think that's exactly what it is. But, you know, who am I to say?
And it's basically like teasing it too. Like you have the individual movies and you're just like, I know that they're going to team up. I know that they're going to team up, and you're just teasing things. And then finally you have that team up and you're just like, team up. No, this is all good news, and I'm very hopeful for it too. For the longest time, I know I was always one of the biggest proponents of the DC universe, I guess is what it's called now.
Yeah.
Saying that I thought they had better storytelling than the Marvel Universe. That's kind of gone by the wayside now, as the Marvel Universe has started to do a little bit better storytelling in and of themselves. And just what I mean by that is that I like that you tell the broader story within the smaller story that you have. The example of that with at least the DC Universe were the scenes where you could see Batman, Ben Affleck or Bruce Wayne like falling asleep, and he's visited by the Flash from the future, and it's literally giving you hints of like things to come, rather than that being the end credit scene of just like, oh, Nick Fury steps out and says, we need to talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D., whatever. So I like that storytelling more, where it's actually in the story rather than am I waiting for after credit scenes in order to get a hint of what's to come, because it never feels like it's connected to the actual story. You know, it's just this one-off thing that we're doing at the end there. But to their credit, at least with some of and I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Well, let's take She-Hulk for example. You have Matt Murdock coming back, and he's literally a character in She-Hulk, so you know that you're getting Daredevil sometime down the road. So that's what I'm saying is like I like that storytelling better, where you have those characters and those stories within that are larger stories within the smaller stories.
It's a linchpin in it versus just an add-on at the end.
Exactly.
Like there's certain things like I think you should, like, to your point, and I think this is what you mean by this, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. Mm-hmm. You would rather have the movies interconnected, and not in a big way, but like little things. Like, for example, we'll even go back to Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Mm-hmm. Speaking of Daredevil, right? Matt Murdock, not Daredevil. Matt Murdock shows up. Obviously, there's a glimpse of Daredevil with the whole catching of the brick thing, but Matt Murdock shows up as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes.
Going forward, we jump to She-Hulk, right? Matt Murdock and Daredevil show up.
Yes.
As prominent characters in at least one episode, right?
Yes.
That now ties the coming up series, Reborn, I believe is still what it's called, to the larger MCU, right? Mm-hmm. You start with a small little glimpse. He's a cameo. But a cameo that has a little bit of weight because he catches that brick, and that's not like a comment on the brick, but the fact that he expressed powers, right? Like expressed his ability, even he's supposed to be blind, but he caught a brick out of nowhere that nobody else saw coming, and Peter was even like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that was supposed to be me.
Didn't even go off in time.
Yeah, like that was supposed to be me that reacted right before it hit my face, that sort of thing. Then to She-Hulk, obviously, he debuts as Daredevil first, right? Am I thinking correctly?
Yeah, because
the fight on the parking garage. Yeah.
No. No, never mind. No, he does show up in court.
No, Coach shows up in court first. That's right. Yeah, I was like, I'm mistaken. Then shows up in the fight at the parking garage.
Yes.
So that is now a linchpin. It's a story element through those two properties, leading to what is eventually going to be his full debut in his own story.
Mm-hmm.
So you would want to see that stuff be more integrated, and then what I was thinking would be, well, not different, not contrary to what you're thinking, but my thought process, if you do want to have stinger scenes for certain things, you should tease upcoming sequels of whatever your movie you're watching as a stinger scene.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Like how it's always classically, because they're, with Marvel's introduction of stinger scenes, it's there were stinger scenes before that, but you would always get like, you know, the villain survived or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's hinting towards future stuff for this franchise, which is fine.
Yep.
I just don't like seeing that like you're building this overarching thing, this story that's going across multiple stories, but you're building it in after credits. I want you to see you build it during the movie, and bring it back to the DC universe. That's what I always liked about the DC universe over the Marvel universe. But Marvel is actually getting better at it, with at least with some of their shows. They are, but I do like shit. We talked so long about that. Now I forgot what I was going to say next. But I do agree the fact that, yeah, you're right. I don't think that they should have jumped into the Batman versus Superman so early. That you should have set up more Superman movies, more Batman movies, Wonder Woman, Aquaman before you even jumped into that stuff, so that we knew those more about those heroes beforehand. Fuck, what was I going to say?
And why you think about that? And that's just, and yeah. I'm even thinking like in my brain as you're talking. I wasn't thinking this ahead of time. This is just, way my brain works. Like, if you think about how Guardians, right? The so far the two we have, the soon to be third, they've actually done that better than some of the other movies. And yes, they came later. Obviously, like Guardians 1 was well into the MCU. So it's not like we got it fucking year 2, right? We got it many moons into it, many movies into it. But their stinger scenes were more of like continuing the Guardians story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously the better one would be like and even Thor did it with this newest movie, where they introduce or potentially introduce a new villain for the potential new villain for the next movie, right? Like a slight tease for it. Like you in the end of volume 2, I almost said chapter 2 like a fucking asshole. You got the tease like Adam Warlock is going to be prominent in the next movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
End of Love and Thunder, Hercules shows up as the potential villain for the next Thor movie. That sort of thing, right? Like, we both know, like, well, I don't know how much you know about either of those characters. Technically, down the road, and they could use them differently. I mean, it's MCU; they don't have to go by the guidelines of the comic books. Both Adam Warlock and Hercules are actually technically heroes. Yeah. They're at this viewpoint of them, the way they are, their viewpoint is they are the good guy going against the bad guys, which is the Guardians or Thor, because Thor did throw a lightning bolt through Hercules' dad's chest. Right. Not cool, bro. That's kind of fucked up, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of mean. And Adam Warlock is being birthed into a world of hate, because he's being created by people who hate the Guardians because the Guardians shattered their world, because their world was kind of trash, in general. And I'm not saying like you should definitely trash worlds, but like they're kind of like they're elitists and they're shitbirds. So like, good, your shit got broke, right? So that's kind of cool the way they do that, and I would imagine James may have the same kind of like appeal to that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're gonna have we'll introduce or we'll tease other properties within the bulk of the movie, right? So our runtime will tease the debut of somebody. And then at the end, in our teaser, we can link to a potential sequel as long as this movie does well.
Yeah.
And I believe he did it, obviously, very well with Suicide Squad because he, if you don't remember, they teased Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Peacemaker became a popular TV show that came out because of that. And I think that's what we can expect for going forward. Am I wrong? We'll fucking see. Am I jumping the gun? Wink, wink. Jumping the gun. Get it? Maybe. Who knows? Again, we'll have to fucking see if that's where they're going with it or not going with it. But I think back to our original point. I think the DCU is in good hands with these two gentlemen who have a very close relationship together, working relationship together. I'd almost consider them friends at this point because how much they've worked together over the years. And they both know the properties very well, which is nice too because Gunn is a giant fucking nerd who loves comic books and shit. Hence the Guardians of the Galaxy, because if you've ever seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, you're like, well, that can't be done by a guy who doesn't know anything about it. And then going forward, and then to your point also to like the DC does have a better track record of cameo teasing for upcoming stuff versus just Stinger stuff, because their Stinger stuff seems to always be leading to the next movie in that run, right? Like at the end of Shazam, you get the tease for the worm thing, and that has to do with the gods and blah blah blah, leading into Fury of the Gods, blah blah blah. Here we go. The bad thing, right, with what we have is the DC EU as we knew it, or the DC properties, because a lot of those weren't technically the same. They never really had the setup for other sequels. Like Wonder Woman didn't really tease that shit-tastic fucking sequel they had, which is good because if you would have thought forward and said, "Hey, this is the movie we're gonna make with this teaser scene," you should have had time to change your mind, but you didn't. But they've never had that, right? Like there wasn't a lot of that going forward. And not saying Shazam was like, oh, they broke the mold, but at least that was not like, hey, by the way, Black Adam's gonna have his own movie and this is a teaser for it. Nope, it was a tease for potentially a second Shazam movie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And again, to your point, DC's done that better than Marvel because Marvel will throw on multiple Stinger scenes sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes as a joke, like to the movie itself. Guardians does that, which is perfectly okay. But then they will have a tease. For example, I want to say it was at the end of which was the movie that debuted the tease for Thor? Was
it Captain America?
Was it Captain America or was it Iron Man?
No, it might have been Iron Man.
When Nick Fury shows up at the hole and sees the hammer in the crater.
No, it wasn't Nick Fury. It was Colton.
Oh, it's Colton. Yeah, Phil Colton.
Yeah.
Which led us into Thor, the first Thor movie, versus just having that. Like, yes, it was teased. Like they mentioned it, blah blah blah, and Coulson went and did it. But I would have rather have that. I don't know if that scene would fit well into the movie, but I'd rather have a mention of it in the movie than see him appear at the beginning of Thor for that scene leading into the rest of Thor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyhow.
The final thing that I finally remembered was that this is kind of the perfect time for him to jump on and kind of reshuffle things around, reboot things, because the next movie that's supposed to be coming out is the Flashpoint movie, which obviously, as you said, deals with multiple universes and stuff like. So it is kind of the perfect point to be like, we have to address Ezra Miller and probably cut ties with him.
Yeah.
because it has been a while since we've heard anything from him and his antics that have been going on lately. But I'm betting that Warner Brothers is kind of chomping at the bit to just be like, we're done. This is it. This is a good point to just be like, and that Flash, traveled into the what's the Flash thing called where he goes off into the
Speed Force.
The speed.
Speed
What was
Force.
it?
Speed
The
Force.
Speed Force.
Yeah.
And then just he chose to stay in the Speed Force and is never seen again. Just quantum leap him and just like fucking he's gone, or he dies. Whatever. Don't care. But then you have a perfectly good Flash, at least as far as I'm aware, you have still a perfectly good Flash from the TV show that you could continue on with, or you could bring in a totally new Flash at this point. But yeah, like we're at a perfect point where they can just bring in Gunn and just have him pause everything for right now and just say, okay, this is what we're going to do going forward. This is how we're going to build it. And I think we need to jump off of the Flash movie with it so that we can just reset things. You still can bring back Ben Affleck as Batman, which I really enjoy. Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and all your other favorite, and bring in Pattinson, bring in Michael Keaton for cameos and stuff like that. Hell, you could even bring in the Teen Titans at this point, in time, because that show still got renewed, even though somehow people still don't like it. I still haven't watched it, so I'm saying that as like hearing people don't like it, but it still got renewed. I don't know. Maybe he can even bring back the Batgirl movie that was 99% done apparently.
Yeah.
But I think that's just what he needs to do, is just like pause everything for right now, let it go for a little while, and just figure things out, and then use the Flash movie as just a restart point, reset things. But still, that's how you can still keep the continuity of at least what you have.
Yeah.
Right now. At least I think the Flashpoint movies. Now that I say that, we still have an Aquaman movie coming out. I don't remember when that one comes out.
Next year.
Either way, even if the Aquaman movie comes out before then, you still use Flashpoint as a way of just resetting things.
Well, we also do, and to your point, you could be correct, because, again, Gunn is coming into this poker game, or I should say solitaire game, because you're not going against anybody, you're going against yourself. Anyways, with a stacked deck, because just like Flash, we know there's existing characters are coming through. Ezra Miller's Flash is in it. Batfleck's in it. I'm trying to think of a way to put Keaton's name into a bat thing, but like I can't think of it. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Keaton doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Bat Keaton.
Yeah, it just sounds weird. Anyhow, but we also, speaking of Aquaman, Batfleck's Batman does show up in Aquaman.
Yeah.
In the new one. So
okay.
That's another linchpin, to use that fucking term, of the shared universe within the multiverse. Because obviously, like, the multiverse is a huge plot point in the Flashpoint movie. Because there are multiple Flashes, like I said. There's multiple Batmans. Batman, we already know Jason Momoa's Aquaman. He has a relationship with Batfleck, right? So that can continue on. They obviously know Henry's Superman, which now we know, again, spoiler alert, Black Adam knows that Superman, right? So that's another linchpin to another property going forward. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen going forward with Black Adam, because they do tease, obviously, more with it. And then Shazam is teased to have a link with Black Adam as well. So that's just another kind of like, we're broadening our what seem to be separated properties, but still here. But then again, we still have that extra layer, because like that, again, Pattinson's Batman run with all of its characters just could be another world. And do they have a Superman? No, maybe in that world there was never a Superman.
Yeah, he never showed up. He missed our planet and just went somewhere else.
Yeah, like he went to the other direction. Who knows, right? Fuck, that pod could have been hit by a fucking meteorite or something and shot off into a star somewhere, and he's fucking gone forever.
Yeah.
You know, Krypton goes out with a fucking whimper.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then you have another layer, which is part of this. I think I read an article that like James basically is saying that Battinson's Batman universe and the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker ones, those are separated from everything. They're not. They're its own continuity away from it. That does not mean they're not multiverses within this multiverse. Right. They just do not have
Earth, whatever.
Yep, they just do not have a direct connection. Not saying they won't. They don't have a direct connection to the broader DCU. They're its own thing. So that's cool. I think that's awesome. And I like the fact that he is answering those questions that inevitably people have. People like you and I who are like, but what about this?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that? I don't want you to cancel this. I don't want you to change this. I like the Joker movie. Will I like the second one that's a musical? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm leaning towards no. But we'll see. I loved Battinson. I love the fact that they're not dampening the effects of that movie has. They're broadening its own universe with the Penguin show and the Arkham show, and the fact that the Penguin show actually just casted, I can't think of her name right now, but she's one of the Falcone daughters, I believe.
Okay. One
of the other ones, the one obviously not the half one that Selena Kyle is. So I like that they're doing that. Let's keep Battinson's universe pure and not have to get it sullied with anything else unless you want to. But even then, I think if you're going to do that, let them do their own. If they're going to bring in a Superman or if they're going to bring in any other heroes of any type that are super powered, let them do it their own. Let them have their own entity of it. Let them have their own version of it. Let's let run its course. Let's not fucking hinder it with expectations of having a Robin or any of these other things. And I also think because of that, you can keep it more grounded. Mm-hmm. And have it its own fantasticalism of just a deformed face maniac that happens to be the Joker, or a fucking loner who has a weird internet fetish with Batman. And little things like that. Just let that be its own thing. You don't have to bring in anybody else. And and same thing with Joker. You never have to make a Batman in the Joker series because you already established the Joker is the Joker without him.
Yeah.
And Joker was never anything more than just the Joker needed to be. Like, they didn't say, hey, he got thrown into a vat of fucking, acid and went fucking insane. He was just fucking insane.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I think that's fucking rad. But I think you can have those other ones and never have to say
that everything is connected somehow.
Directly. Because, again, you can keep those separate and never have to worry about them being involved together.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a good thing.
Definitely.
I would enjoy, at least. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on it.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Producers, give me the wrap-up sign. So that will be it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe.
I have been Cody. And as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.
Bye.